As we gather, we are reminded that the town of Bonnyville is situated on Treaty 6 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and is the traditional homeland and home to First Nation and Métis people today. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nation, Métis, and all First people of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. Council, before us, we have an agenda, including a walk-on item 7D. Do we have that agenda before us? Any other items to additions, deletions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. None at this time.
Okay. We'll look for a motion then, please. Councillor Blanchette.
I will move adoption of the agenda, adding the walk-on to 7D.
All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the meeting minutes from March 10th, 2026. Were there any changes to those? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion, please. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make the motion to accept the meeting minutes from March the 10th, 2026.
All in favor? Carried. All right, we've got one item in MPC. Motion to move into MPC, please. Councillor Langridge.
I'll give you that motion, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. All right, we will call MPC to order. Before us, we have an agenda. Any additions to this agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do not have any additions to this agenda.
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda as presented, please. Councillor Kushner.
I'll give you that motion, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. Minutes from the MPC of February 24th, 2026. Any changes to those minutes as presented? No? All right. Motion to accept those ones then, please. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make that motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 24th, 2026.
All in favor? Carried. All right, to the heart of the matter, a development permit. Let's take that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Earlier in 2026, the land use bylaw was amended to allow proposed development to apply under updated use categories. Administration has since received an application for a change of use from vacant to animal services major for the purposes of operating a doggy daycare program with additional related services. The subject property is located within the C3 Highway Commercial District, where animal services major is now listed as a discretionary use. The applicant proposes 2 interior areas, a main daycare and a training space, and a smaller controlled daycare area. In addition to daycare services, the business will be offering grooming services, a small retail storefront with miscellaneous animal-related products, as well as the boarding of animals at this location. An exterior fenced area at the rear of the property will provide outdoor play space for the dogs. 13 adjacent landowners were notified in accordance with municipal procedure. And as of March 18th, 2026, no feedback has been received from any of the notified property owners. Administration is recommending that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the development permit application 26-D0013 with the conditions listed below.
Thank you. Open the floor up for questions or comments on this request. Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to administration. Regarding property owner notification, are tenants encompassed in those notifications?
Madam Mayor, through you to council, no. Landlords would be notified, and it's their responsibility to pass that information along to their tenants.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Langridge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through to administration. In the conditions listed by administration here, it says that at least 2 staff members must be present at all times when 4 or more dogs are interacting. So that would not be considered. So if they are boarding and they're in their own enclosures, then you would need no staff there at that time.
Correct. That would be if the animals are loose in the back, or if you have multiple animals that are not enclosed in the boarding areas, say whether it be daycare or grooming.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? I have a question just for administration. Seem to have a long list of recommendations. Just wondering, where do we get this information from? Like, what are we consulting to give us this many recommendations for this permit? Out of curiosity.
Madam Mayor, through you to you. This is a first for us. So we do a scan of industry best practices. Luckily, our CAO has had some experience with businesses like this, and we reached out to multiple communities that do have these businesses in place, as well as we were in contact with our partners at the SPCA, and ultimately came up with a significant list of conditions, but we felt that they matched the industry best practices for making sure we have a duty of care for not just the staff, but also the animals that they're going to be taking care of, as well as having the conditions in place, ensure that there's an ability to do checkups to ensure that compliance is fully adhered to and that there are all of the safety features that we've asked for are being implemented.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Not, we are looking for a decision on this request. Councillor Sharun?
I move on the recommendation that we approve the development permit application 26D0013 with the conditions listed as per administration.
Okay, any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. I'll get a motion to move back into regular council meeting, please. Councillor Langridge.
I'll give you that motion, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the finance report for February.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attached is the monthly financial report for February 2026. This report consists of the bank reconciliation statement, the operating budget financial report, the capital budget financial report, and the capital project listing to date. We are recommending that council accept the February 2026 financial report as presented.
Thank you. Any questions on the financial report as presented? Councillor Kushner?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Through to administration, just the Family Resource Network Hub and the Family Resource Network Spoke, we're at 182% of revenue and 125% of revenue. How come?
That is a carryover from 2025, so there was a bit of a surplus there. So at the end of the year, we carried that money over. That contract, both contracts, I do believe, have been extended to June 30th. They were supposed to be done as of March 31st.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Sharun?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, thank you. Through to administration, can you just refresh me again on that Frog Lake tie-in, and when will that be removed from the books?
That is a project that is still ongoing. That will be removed once all the engineering has been complete for the design work for that regional line extension. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we are looking for a motion to approve then as presented. Councillor Kushner?
I'll give you the motion to approve them as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, design and planning of the Bougie Baseball Diamonds Area Master Plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I will try not to fumble my words tonight. Administration is seeking council approval to engage a professional planning and a design service to prepare an area master plan for the Bougie Ball Diamonds land. The area master plan will establish a clear council endorsed vision to the guide the orderly, cohesive, and long-term development of a site. This planning work will ensure that the future projects are strategically aligning with the sports and tourism strategy and council strategic plan, support the delivery of appropriate planned and developed community spaces, and enable projects to be implemented in a coordinated and financially responsible manner. The intent of this planning initiative is to avoid piecemeal and reactive development, instead implement a structured, phased approach similar to the other successful destination-style recreation areas, where amenities are developed incrementally over time as funded with partnerships and grants as they become available. not to go through the whole thing that way, I don't believe council would have read that. I think more the opportunity with this project and getting an area structure plan for administration is also to help us with guidance and moving forward in the projects as we move into the future years, helping us to properly coordinate capital projects as well as funding for those capital projects with the capital funding. We know that these facilities are going to take some time to build over the next couple of years, and the hope would be in the next 5 to 6 years we can start filling that area out properly, providing more amenities to the community as well as other services. So it's more of a hub service for recreation as well as just ball diamonds. The opportunity there is to collaborate with the Egg Society, which that we have been in communication with as administrations, finding project cohesiveness where we can work with them and they can apply for grants as well to enhance the rodeo grounds at the same time. So the hope would be that this project would be planned out accordingly so that when we move into these phases of actually implementing dollars towards the actual construction and putting shovels in the ground, things are already pre-planned so that we know exactly what we're looking for. We can also get those out quoted earlier. We can tender these projects on time so that making sure that construction seasons are always filled with at appropriate timelines, and we're making those marks easier year to year to achieve. But more importantly for the municipality is being able to budget accordingly through the capital projects budget so that we're not just guessing year to year. We're planning 2-3 years in advance, and then we're setting goals and standards to make sure that we're accomplishing those things on a timely manner, and coming back to architecturally sound projects versus reactive.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I know everyone knows how much we love plans and studies, so this is lovely to see. Question through to administration on it is, what is the timeline looking for completion of this? I know in our interim budget, we have dollars already allocated to some projects in that area. Is this going to now pause all of those projects until this is done? So we're looking at pushing everything back a year?
No, the hope would be that we can continue on moving forward with projects where we can. So one of the things that we were trying to look at this year, which is starting to become a little bit more a next year discussion, was the sewer and water lines getting in the ground, mainly due to the fact that we need to know exactly where they're going in order to put them in the ground. So if we just randomly put the sewer and water lines in the ground this year, then we may put them in the wrong area, or we're just not servicing it correctly with a proper piping size. So what we'd like to do is, if, for example, if we are going to move forward with 100 campsites and we're going to move forward with a potential of like a gathering area for a wedding venue, whatever the case may be, it changes the diameter of the pipe that we have to put in the ground, which changes the cost. So the hope would be we could plan this out as soon as possible to get moving on those types of projects to make sure that we're putting the proper infrastructure in the ground but the first time and not having to dig it up and come back at a later date. The other opportunity this provides us is we can get it planned out and then we can start cost estimating the whole thing instead of pieces of it. And then knowing exactly where we're going to move pieces of projects and when we're going to timeline those up and what's going to be bumped backwards for cost or what's going to get put forward because it's cheaper and quicker to get done. Hopefully that answers your question.
And so in regards to a timeline, when are you hoping that this would be, if it gets council's go ahead tonight, how soon are you looking to tender this plan and when are we looking for it to be completed by?
If we were able to get this approved tonight, I would get it out for tender tomorrow. And then we would get this done, and I would hope that we could have this plan and this design done before fall. And the hope that we could maybe look at potentially putting some shovels in the ground in the fall or early next spring.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Through to the CAO, having an area master plan like this, does that help when we go, hopefully achieve or be able to get like some grant funding, having like a vision and something?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it does. It provides us opportunities to work with partners, so not-for-profit societies more specifically, that we could provide the document to, and then they could use that to apply for grants, maybe the municipality can apply for, which we have been in conversations with 2 organizations that would be willing to work with us on that. It also allows us to apply for municipal grants where available as well, because it does provide a Class B estimate, which is what they require in order to submit. So it does help with that process, and it does provide us opportunities as well.
Yeah, I do like having, not, as you mentioned here, avoid piecemealing and reactive development, but have a full vision of what that area could be so that we can go forward with that. So I do like that. Okay, we are looking for direction, council. What say you? Anybody interested? Councillor Kushner?
So, Madam Mayor, are we looking for just direction going forward, or are we doing the $200,000 that's in this proposal?
There is a recommendation here to approve the allocation of 200,000 from the general capital reserve, correct? That's what you're looking for.
That's correct,
tonight?
Madam Mayor.
Okay, so it's more than just saying, yeah, let's go for it. It's the $200,000. Okay, so I'll make that recommendation that council approve the allocation of $200,000 from the general capital reserve fund.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next, design and planning of an uptown area master plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Similar to the Bougie Ballpark, the purpose of this request is for a decision to seek council's approval and funding to undertake professional planning and design services to prepare a cohesive master plan that will guide the cohesive long-term development within the subject area. The intent of the planning initiative is to mitigate ad hoc or uncoordinated development, prevent random building in municipal lands, and establish a clear unified vision for the emerging uptown-style hub. This area would be located just east of the C2 in the 13 acres that is right adjacent to the C2. The hope would be that before we start building or changing the use of the area for example, like a swimming pool, or SCSS or a library or some sort of facility that's municipally owned, that we would have some more guidance on where to put those buildings, or where to put those buildings and those locations of those buildings in correspondence with the infrastructure in the ground that's located nearby. To maximize dollars, to make sure that we're not wasting dollars trying to cut across a whole field to get to a certain spot, or if there is a need to do that, how we can plan that long term so that we could do other infill as well. The opportunity there is to provide a defined and appropriate land uses for the program elements, coordinate future capital investments, ensure efficient and strategic use of the lands assets, and then support grant applications for long-term budgeted planning. Essentially, we would like to do the same thing that we would do with the Bougie Ball Diamonds, and make sure that we're designing it architecturally to be a new uptown that would include hopefully a plaza or some sort of other amenities that make that a hub for the community with some town assets. And again, we would be looking for the similar motion of $200,000 to move forward with the area master plan as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, council? Councillor Schroen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to administration. I guess just there is a potential for a lot of development in that area. Now, with this amount that we want to transfer from the general capital reserve, are they going to take into consideration some of those perhaps developments, or are they just going to give us, like, it's a little different than the Bougie Ballpark, because here we've got a lot of land, and there could possibly, like I said, possibly be some building going on there. And so with this study, are you just looking at what's going to work best underground, like to tie into everything, or like and is council going to have any kind of input on it? Like, how is this one going to run in particular?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. I would say we'd have to look at it as a kind of a multi-phase approach as well in some ways. The opportunity itself will depend on how condensed we want it to have up there. So the more opportunities we provide for development, then obviously the more condensed and the more we'd have to design that out. what I would say is it would help us in the short term for immediate builds that we would like to do and get those kind of ironed out and facilitated, while providing us with maybe a 40,000 level view of what the area could be, so that we have something to kind of base things off of to go with, so we can kind of pre-plan where we're going to put buildings in their envelopes. So again, we're not just building buildings for the sake of building buildings, and that we're going to maximize the use of the land. The challenge is with getting into a large development, so to speak, if we want to add, like, let's say 12 buildings in that area, then obviously $200,000 isn't going to be enough to cover those types of development incurments. We'd have to look at different opportunities there as well. So this could be an ongoing piece. But the more important aspect of this is understanding where to put building placement. So it gives us a bit of a roadmap and a blueprint, if you will. This blueprint then gives us a really good understanding of what we need to budget for in the future. It also gives us a really good roadmap of what we need to plan for in the future as well. So obviously, the more infrastructure we put out there for buildings, or the more buildings we put out there, the more infrastructure we have to provide, and the different capacities of infrastructure as well. So one of the examples I'll use is sewer, because it is a low-lying, shallow sewer line close to the surface. We would have to look at opportunities either with a new force main or a lift station at some point, which are required for us to plan out before we put buildings up. So I would say it gives us a really good indication of what to be alert, what we should be preparing for in the future. And then as we move forward with more development out there, whether it's municipal buildings or if we sell off portions of properties, if that's council's wishes in the future, there's a kind of a few different options that we could look at down the road. But in the short term, if we want to get moving on, more municipal facilities, then we would need to make sure that we're placating to that sooner than later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Langridge?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to administration, similar to the last agenda item, now we have done significant work in investigating our needs. So we've got sports tourism studies, we've got commercial gap analysis, plus more. I would hate for us to, and I know the amount that we paid for those studies. I would hate for us to have to restart any of them, because if we can't use that, really all the information that we need, and when it comes to recreation, when it comes to commercial gap of what we could do, is already done. So I would hope in our whoever that we is successful in the tender for this, that they take a lot of the work that they would probably in general start and do, and have meetings with the residents and sports groups and all that stuff to find that it's already all done for them. So I'm just wanting to make sure that those are going to be pushed to be used and not just crumpled up and thrown away, because there was time and money that was spent on this, and it should actually help us on the total spend when it comes to designing what that area might be.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To the councillor, I think the other part too is if you want to look at these requests that we're asking for tonight, so the economic and the social aspect is complete, but now we're looking for the urban planning piece that's missing. So that would be the actual blueprinting of those areas. That would then co-align with these studies that have been completed. So none of these studies are past their expiration date at any point. So they are very viable in the sense that we are going to be using every piece of them to move forward. It's much like the downtown study that was used to move forward on the 28 project. So I would say that for the short term and the long term, this is just more for us to get a blueprint of what we need to be building out there and how quick we can get to those projects based on dollar availabilities. But then on the other side of that is also for public works and for planning. It's just more the roadmap of the actual mapping and the actual pieces of the elements that we now have to get with the technical side of actually where are these buildings going to be located, how big are they going to be, what's the servicing requirements to actually make these buildings adequate in those areas. So it's more of those conversations for the internal piece so that we aren't going to see in those studies that were completed. And it's more to get now into the practical stages of getting those implementations done for these facilities.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Blanchette?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to administration, similar to Councillor Langridge's question on the previous item, what are we looking at for timeline of completion of this, and do we know, or do we know at this stage?
This one I would try and get out as soon as possible. We'll get this tendered out. We'd have to still draft up the actual RFD and the tender package for this. This one's a bit more complicated than the last because there is a bit more technical requirement for engineering in this one. So we'd have to take a little bit more time to make sure that we're getting all the pieces into for the tender package, and then hopefully have that out by after budget pass. We wouldn't want to pursue this before budget, so I would say probably end of April we'd be ready for tendering, and then we'd have that completed this year, and then hopefully we could use this next year for implementation in the C2 area.
Okay, and further follow-up to that regarding the, it says here, you know, well, we're all aware that we're looking at the development of a joint use facility between the library and FCSS. I assume that this plan would need to be complete before we move forward with building those.
It'd be done in tandem.
Okay. And one more, if I may, Madam Mayor, regarding the $200,000, that that's not coming out of the $2 million that we had allocated last year for the FCSS building?
Nope, that would come out of the same fund for the general capital reserve as well.
Excellent, thank you.
And just to go back to your other question there, it would also be the project itself would be to move forward on those types of projects. So we wouldn't be eliminating from those. And with the SCSS and project that's already half completed already. So we're just going to be enhancing that to meet today's standards based on what we received a couple of years ago. So we'll also be using those, the work that was previously done. We're going to enhance on that so that it's shovel ready for next year.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we are looking for a recommendation on this item. Councillor Sharoon?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that council relocate the $200,000 from the General Capital Reserve to fund the design and planning of a comprehensive area master plan for the municipally owned properties located as listed on the recommendation.
Thanks. All in favor? Carried. Next, funding request for the Lakeland Lacrosse Lakeland Heat Ice Melter Tournament 2026.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attached is an event grant program application from Lakeland Lacrosse Association requesting funding in the amount of $5,000 for their 13th annual Ice Melter Tournament, which is being held in Bonnyville at the C2 Center, the Cold Lake Energy Center, Cold Lake North, and Glendon from May 8th to the 10th, 2026. If approved, the funding will be used to assist with the cost for floor rental, referee fees, advertising, Heart and Hustle, and the MVP prizes. This tournament will host 40 teams from across the province in divisions ranging from U9 to U17, and they are expecting approximately 600 to 800 athletes and their families to attend. Last year, council approved sponsorship in the amount of $5,000 towards the Ice Melter Tournament, which was held in Cold Lake and Bonnyville as well. Administration is recommending that council approve a sponsorship at the Legacy Partner sponsorship level in the amount of $5,000 for the Lakeland Lacrosse Association for their Ice Melter Tournament.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Blanchett?
Just a very quick question. So we sponsored this for $5,000 last year, and I see that we have in the interim budget $2,000. Do we know how we landed on that $2,000?
That was the, for 2 years before that, we had done 2,000. Last year, we upped it to 5 because they were doing more tournaments in Bonnyville. I think the first 2 years, it was the majority of time in Cold Lake. And now they seem to be coming to split Bonnyville and Cold Lakes.
I see, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Langridge?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to build off of that, in years past, we did not have the capacity in the Centennial Center. And with the projects that are ongoing, the ice is actually coming out May 4th. So they'll be able to play games on both ice surfaces. So we're going to be hosting a lot more than we ever have in the past this time around. So just a FYI.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we are looking for a decision or recommendation. Or decision, yes. Councillor Johnson.
I will make the motion that council approve sponsorship of the Legacy Partner sponsorship level in the amount of $5,000 from Lakeland Lacrosse Association for the Ice Melter Tournament.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Next is our walk-on item, the Bonnyville Municipal Library Board.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The town of Bonnyville received correspondence dated March 10th from the Bonnyville Municipal Library Board, Kayla Blanchette, requesting that council formalize several library board appointments. The library board appointments must be for a term of 3 years or less in accordance with Libraries Boards Act. Appointments are generally stabilized to term dates of October 31st for consistency across municipalities. To help with the compliance with PLSB guidance as library acts, the library board has requested that the council formally approve the specific board appointments with aligned end dates. That being recommendation as the motions followed for the 4 motions required.
Okay, any questions? We've done this before. We are looking for 4 motions. Counselor.
I'll make the first motion that council appoint Kayla Blanchette as board member to the Town of Bonnyville Library Board for a term ending October 31st, 2026.
All in favor? Carried. We've got a second motion. Counselor Blanchette.
I'll move that council appoint Neil Langridge as a board member to the Town of Bonnyville Library Board for a term ending October 31, 2026.
All in favor? Carried. Third motion. Counselor Langridge.
I will move motion 3, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. And a fourth motion appointing Leela Brasso. Counselor Johnson.
I'll make that motion number 4 that we appoint Lilo Barrasso to the term ending March 28th, 2023.
All in favor? Carried. All right, committee reports. We will start with Counselor Blanchette, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. March 11th, I attended a Bonnyville Wellness Coalition meeting as well as a naming committee meeting. March 13th, virtual FCSS Association of Alberta Board of Directors meeting. March 16th, Bonnyville District SPCA Board meeting. March 17th, Governance and Priorities Committee meeting. And yesterday evening, I had a meeting with Bonnyville Municipal Library Manager. And then as well, in my role as the FCSSA President, I participated in a joint media availability with Alberta municipalities regarding the provincial budget, conference planning meeting with the event coordinator, and a meeting this past Friday with the Assistant Deputy Minister. That's everything for me.
Okay, on the 12th of March, I attended the Economic Development meeting virtually. On the 17th, Governance and Priorities. On the 17th, after our meeting with our GM, Brad, we traveled and attended the Alberta Care Conference for the 18th, 19th, and 20th. We are very hopeful that we are still on target for our curb recycling in October. There's still some kinks that need to be worked out, but so far that is what the word is. So we're looking forward to that. Then on the 23rd of March, I had a C2 regular board meeting. And on the 12th of March, as my role with the Director for Towns East for Alberta Municipalities, I attended a governance board meeting. And that's it.
Thank you. On, excuse me, on March 11th, I had an Alberta Winter Games meeting. We're continuing to wrap up everything and have all the bills and invoices accounted for. There's quite a bit of work that still has to be done before we can close up shop. So after that, I attended my first naming committee meeting on March 17th, the G&P meeting. On the 18th, we had a Lakeland Lodge and Housing meeting. Both facilities in Bonnyville and Coal Lake for the lodges have waiting lists. I believe Bonnyville's is up to 18 and Cold Lake is 12, I believe. And then on the 23rd, another Alberta Winter Games meeting and then a C2 meeting that day. And that is all for me.
All right, thank you. On March 12th, I had a Midtown Mayor's Caucus meeting. We talked about the need to continue recruiting members, and we've created a type of elevator pitch, and each of the directors is going to take a list of municipalities to reach out to and recruit. March 16th, had an ABMA. We've created a finance committee. Now that we've got a budget to work with, we are formalizing that committee and the processes, and we'll be creating a terms of reference for that. Then on the 18th, I attended the Chamber AGM. Just want to say congratulations to the new directors. There's 4 new directors, and I'm looking forward to, what they're going to do in the future. I think there's going to be a lot of energy around that table, so I'm excited for them. March 19th, a regular BRFA meeting, and then on March 20th, with ABMA, we were got approved to extend our project with a municipality out of Quebec called Montmagny. So that project's going to be moving forward this year, and we're working on the details for that project. So.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. March 12th, I had regularly scheduled DMO meeting. Also on the 12th, we had an economic development meeting here in Chambers. March 17th, I brought greetings from the town for the Special Olympics bowling tournament that they had here. The 19th, governance priorities meeting. 20th, BRFA meeting. And then the 21st, on the 20th as well, the hospital gala video I did. The 21st, I had the pleasure, and it was a great pleasure, of judging the 4-H kids. They are absolutely amazing in what they can do. It was an eye opener. It was really good to see them and how polished they can be, and little kids right up to like 18, 17-year-olds. It was incredible. And then earlier today at BRFA EHS, quick little meeting, and that's all I got.
All right, March the 12th, I had Economic Development and Tourism meeting here in Council Chambers. March 17th, Governance and Priorities Committee. And March 20th, I attended the Men Leading Men Roundtable at the Friendship Center. It was a group of community men there, and talking about different issues and things in the community, and it was a great evening, and that's all for me.
Okay, thank you. All right, a few items under correspondence is saved the date for the Ukrainian Day 2026 in August in Lamont. A letter from the MD of Bonnyville withdrawing from the Intermunicipal Subdivision and Development Appeal Board services. We've got a proclamation. Whereas our municipality is committed to building an equitable and inclusive community, which includes embracing neurodiversity, respecting the identities of autistic people, and ensuring that autistic residents of all ages have the opportunities to participate fully in civic, social, education, and economic life. Therefore, the town of Bonnyville does hereby proclaim April 2nd, 2026 as World Autism Acceptance Day in the town of Bonnyville. And then we have our community organization funding up to March 18th, 2026. Any questions for administration? Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to the CAO, regarding the 2 letters that were received from the MD of Bonnyville, these 2 agreements were fairly new, and I'm just wondering if there's any indication as to why these are being withdrawn from.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to the councillor. From my understanding is that it was a cost savings for the MD at this time, that they were looking at other options, more internally focused and not external. We have been in contact with the other partnered members, municipalities in the organization, and they do wish to continue on with the service with the support of Town of Bonnyville. We looked at the cost, and it doesn't actually make a difference to our bottom line. At the end of the day, it's still the same cost for training. So we have been discussing that with them, and it would be brought back to the next council meeting or for future council meeting once we have a new draft bylaw and terms of reference.
Thank you. Any other questions for administration? Seeing none, we've got a couple items in camera. I'll look for a motion to move into camera, please. Councillor Johnson.
Make the motion to go into camera.
All in favor?